Times of India, the center page. See the statistics. India's satellite constellation is the seventh largest in the world. Highest is USA's 8530, followed by Russia 1545. The difference between the two countries: China 724, UK 658, Japan 208. Next is France at 105, and India also at 105, but placed below France. This is today's Times of India. And then I went to the net. There is a data published by Union of Concerned Scientists, US organization, which is widely accepted for data on satellite. The last update is of 2023. And from 2023, okay, from, is it okay? Yeah, 2023, it talks about 7,560 satellites, whereas the today's data is of 14,000 satellites. In 2 years, the figure has doubled. And it mentions that an estimated 77% are in LEO, further 15% are in GEO, and 4% are only in MEO. And of the total number of satellites, 15% have military or dual-use purposes. So it is not that it is going berserk. It is only 15%. The rest are being used for civil or commercial usage. Just over half of those of the military satellites, they are in LEO. The combination of low altitude and a shorter orbital period makes LEO very suitable for military applications. And I will not go into further statistics because there is no time. It's very interesting statistics. I will straight away come to few space-based applications. My life has been made easier by the speakers earlier because I'll not speak about. Let me go from the classification point of view. Let's start with satellite-driven intelligence. IMINT has been very deeply covered by the two speakers before me, and they help military operations in a big way in targeting, battle damage assessment, and situational awareness. Next is the second, both comment as well as elite, or we call it a non-comment, and they help to a large extent in operations. Then we have high precision application for force enhancement in terms of precision navigation and timing, precision strikes, precision timings, and enhanced situation awareness by providing battlefield awareness. I will just touch upon some advanced space-based sensors. Uh, uh, the rep from DIPAC spoke about hyperspectral sensors. Is a technology which needs to be taken note of. It's a chemical fingerprinting of the objects on the Earth. IIT Mumbai has a very good lab on hyperspectral imaging. There are hyperspectral satellites which have gone up by many countries. Many, when I say many, means it's only 5-6. Then SAR, of course, has been spoken. It is required for defense forces because of its day and night coverage. And I would like to bring out here, we need an AI model to convert SAR into VO. Because that's the easiest one for people to interpret. And there are models where people are working on it. And space-based radar, there is a satellite-based radar system in US military space-based surveillance system, SBSS, uses satellites to detect and track enemy satellites, missiles, and aircraft. You must have read in the newspaper about 3 years back, the government of India has also given clearance to our SDS-3. The rest is communication and networking. SATCOM has been adequately covered. I will cover on the tactical part of it. Wing Commander Prakash spoke about the need for a soldier to carry that mobile where he can speak. It's primarily called GMPCS, Global Mobile Personal Communication through satellite. We'll remove the word global, it should be for the Indian scenario. So we have the players Thraya, banned in India. Thraya 3 failed to launch on January 4th, and it has moved from C1 global coverage to combat. Then we have Inmarsat or ISAT and Iridium. So such type of personal mobile communication system through satellites are required for the battlefield system. Otherwise, the ComSat as such is basically not a B2C, it's a B2B concept. And it becomes very difficult for a soldier to carry that bulky equipment. It's okay with the headquarters, not for an individual soldier. course, satellites are useful in logistics and supply chain management, cyber and EW. I'll not speak much about these two. And some advanced applications like space-based weather forecasting, space-based Earth observation, and autonomous systems. Uh, I'll just speak about use of satellites for tech-int capabilities. The global geopolitics, tech-int has emerged as a critical component of national security. So satellites play a vital role in this endeavor, offering unparalleled advantages in terms of surveillance, communication, and data collection. One of the primary advantages of satellites for tech-int is their ability to provide high-resolution imagery and SIGINT. India program is already been covered by SITE and Cartosat, so I will not dwell into details. I'll come into straight away the problems for us, or as far as the forces are concerned, what are the aspects to be taken into consideration? Firstly is remote sensing satellite for surveillance should have a revisit capability to meet the operational data update needs. That is very important. We don't want a revisit will take place after days, because when the war takes place, it has to be very quick. And next is all weather imaging capabilities to cater for coverage during day and night. This will require radar satellites. Thirdly, high resolution, I call it submetric. Sensor with ability to provide very high resolution data during operation. These are the three important things which needs to be taken into account. Despite these advantages which the space or satellite gives you, the use of satellite for tech-int capabilities has serious challenges. And one of the primary concerns is the vulnerability of satellites to enemy attack or disruption. There are space weapons that's a talk by itself, whether it is Earth to space to space, and space to Earth. These are also part of the warfare. We will not touch upon them because of shortage of time, but we need to take into consideration all these things, and the increasing congestion of Earth's orbit and the growing risk of space debris poses significant challenges to India's satellite program.
Thank you, Sandeep. I know you are restricted by your your previous appointment for not sharing certain things. I think we have to bear with that. But what I would like you to just quickly tell me, or tell the audience also, as to you see what are we doing at the level, at the apex level, to ensure that the OODA loop is shortened? Because nowadays we are adding OOSDA loop, that is, observe, orient, share, decide, and then destroy, or whatever it is. So act. So this is an area which has been found wanting. So from your previous organization side, anything being done to shorten this loop as far as India is concerned? Today, in Ukraine, the fires are taking place within 3 to 4 minutes, which used to take about 40 to 50 minutes to get fires on target. So this is something which I think we should throw some light.
Primarily it boils down to the sharing part of it.
That's all.
That's all. So
I'm asking about the sharing, because that's the thing which is preventing multi-domain warfare.
I understand, because it also involves processing.
Yes.
So processing is okay with the forces, but the sharing becomes an issue. There are challenges. Come back to this. I'll cover two, three challenges. Firstly, the technical challenge in this is the interoperability. Different satellite systems and sensors have varying data formats, making it challenging to share and integrate intelligence. Next is communication network limitations. We have limited bandwidth. I can, or they can support me in terms of the size of the image which is there, and it takes time to transfer these images. Minimum. Firstly, you have to process it, then you have to transmit it. And absolutely. And type of bandwidth which is available on the network, the network which is there with us has severe limitations, severe limitation. And then finally is the data management and storage. It's a big data analytics which has to be carried out, and there is no common place to do that. So each services in their own silo do that, and which become difficult to short, which is difficult to shorten Then we have the organization and structural challenges also. Each service has its own ethos, which is difficult, and where the role of now the IDS or DSA.
Okay. So basically, thanks, Jan Sandeep. We have a very limited time. One last question to Chris, because that is something which is bugging everybody. Chris, are you there online or? Yeah. So Chris, I want you to highlight. You know when the data was shared about the number of satellites in the LEO and number of satellites in the GEO, the least is in MEO. Why? What are the challenges of MEO? You gave some tremendous advantages of MEO satellites. So what is the problem? What are the challenges, and why there is not much of a traffic? In any case, we want to avoid debris. So the debris would be least, I suppose, in the MEO. So from a layman's perspective, I'm talking about. Could you throw some light on that, Chris?
Yeah, certainly. Historically, there were issues with MEO. When you look back to the GPS satellites, the early GPS satellites that went up to close to 20,000 kilometers, they were like armored tanks. And that was because of the radiation hazards that are particular to MEO. That meant that the satellites used to be heavy, they used to be expensive, and their lifetime was reduced. But what's happened relatively recently is that new methods to protect satellites against radiation hazards have been invented and are being trialled on GPS satellites and other satellites. So the cost of actually putting satellites into MEO has reduced significantly. That's number one. Number two, launch, which was predominantly designed for getting satellites to GEO, and then changed to getting satellites to LEO, meant that MEO was a difficult altitude to get to. And you paid twice, if not three times the amount to go to MEO than you did to go to GEO. Now, what's happened is companies around people like Elon Musk are now looking at different types of delivery systems, reusable systems, which in essence allow them to stop off at MEO on their way to GEO, or put on missions that will deliver satellites to different parts of MEO on different altitudes and different inclinations. So again, that second problem associated with cost with MEO is now reducing significantly. And then the third one was the requirement for terminals on the ground that could track MEOs as they move slowly through space. And of course, as we've all seen, there's been a huge increase in the amount of research and development for terminals and antennas that can track fast-moving satellites, i.e. LEOs, which means now the terminals and the antennas for MEOs, again, have reduced significantly in cost. So most of the problems associated with getting to MEO have now been solved. And we're at the stage now where companies, organisations are planning on putting more satellites into MEO because of the fact that those barriers to entry have now been reduced significantly. And from my perspective, I find it really interesting that so many people have been in the space industry for so long. That means they remember the problems associated with MEO and have not moved on to look at what's changing and what the real cost associated with MEO are. And at Mevera, we believe that the disadvantages associated with MEO are far less than the advantages you have of the freedom of action, freedom of movement, and the fact that you can service any point on the Earth cheaply and quickly, and also the fact that the threats from space are now so huge that being able to observe, collect data, intelligence, and information from moving satellites on different inclinations, looking at areas, some of which we have not even identified as being problem areas, is what makes Meva unique.
Thank you, Chris. Final time. So I really don't have even time for asking questions. But at the cost of again annoying the organizers, I am also part of it, so I can take that annoyance. Quick three questions, and then we wind up this session, if there are any. I know.
Sir,
Yeah.
I have two questions. One is regarding the data standard. Secondly is about data fusion
Okay.
standards. Russia fired almost 150 missiles, thanks to NATO, not Ukraine. And the STANAG, the standards of all the sensors, starting from AWACS down to the ground sensors, and the shooters were common, and the missiles could be taken out. In India, what are we doing, and we should be doing, so that data standards are common. Second is data fusion. We have the three Army, Navy, Air Force. Data are different, sensors are different. We have NTRO, DI, NI, a whole lot of raw from ARC. We're getting data. We must compile them, get them curated. After that, curated, store in data lake, and whoever requires, the final intelligence should come to him along with the predictive and prescriptive analysis. What are we doing about this? Thank you.
Any other person? Any question? Two is already asked, so I'm left with only one. Okay, I think we really don't have time. DSA, could you take on this? I mean, minus the information which you can't, but you can give him a general idea if we are on that path or we are not on that path.
Sir, definitely we are on that path. Talking of the second part of your question, the data fusion, the intelligence reports generated by the various agencies, not just the satellite or imagery intelligence, but also open source and LN, even human. It is work in progress, sir. The first thing is already live with the various agencies. So people are getting now a fused picture. There is a strategic agency which is heading that platform, and it is being shared across all the strategic agencies.
Yeah, I think I'm also part of this kind of initiative which is going on. So there is work going on, but of course we have our own limitations. It takes time for such things to finally materialize. With that, we'll come to the end of our session. I would share just one more information for all of you so that we know where we have to go. US has launched this year itself, last year, I mean, it's 2025 now. In 2024, they launched 6 satellites in LEO. And the capability on 2 of them is to detect hypersonic missiles at the point when they are being launched, because if the hypersonic missiles get launched finally, I mean, once they are up in the air, you will get, the best of the navies are getting about 14 seconds to react. That's too much of a time, too less of a time to actually counter hypersonic missiles, and that's why you heard Putin say that there is no response to hypersonic missiles. So I think we need to be looking at that. Our adversary, you all are aware what kind of a capability he has. With that, thank you panel, thank you the participant. Despite me standing between the tea and you all have been a patient listeners. Namaskar, Jai Hind.
Thank you so much for an insightful session. We'll have a group picture.
Chris with the background.
Thank you very much. We'll slip into a very short 5 minutes break. I'm so sorry because of the delay, and we'll resume for the next session. So try to be as quick as possible so that we can wind up on time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're able to connect now.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
It was just to share
Yeah, no, I wanted to actually switch you out off.